Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Good, good.
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
at
Good
least now I
morning.
can put some faces to the names.
Same case for us,
Yeah, yeah. So
for
this
some
is
of
this
us.
is me.
Yes. Good morning.
Yeah, Jerry, are you able
Yes.
to hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay. So I think because we have like 3 minutes to start, I would suggest that instead of just keeping quiet, we start by introducing ourselves. Just so a few minutes before we start officially. And so I'm Mark Oma, as the name states there. So I happen to be the man behind Kenya US Tech Forum. But of course, everyone is behind it. No one is in front. Uh, I'm calling from DC area, part of Virginia. That's where I live now. Originally from Kenya, of course. Born, raised in Kenya. I came to US many 4 years ago. And so I'm here with my family, my wife and 2 kids, happily married. So that's it for now. By background, I am in IT. I studied IT. Yeah, I did a diploma, degree, master's, and then PhD. And so that's who I am here because I like tech. And I believe everyone who is here, either they passionate about tech, they're in tech, or they want to get into tech. So I think we can just do maybe Monica, maybe just a word or so, just to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica. I'm based in 254 Kenya, Kiambu County. I was introduced to a forum from a Kenyan who has lived in the US and knew about your forum. And my background was actually in customer service. But in 2018, I transitioned into technology within agile coaching. So now it's become my passion just to coach software development teams on ways of working that can help them build products faster, reduce defects, and go to market in a shorter time scale, get customer feedback very early. And through that passion, I've co-founded Agile Mavericks with other 3 women who are in tech. And I'm really humbled to be here. I know one person, Nancy Matimo, and Shiko Gitao. Just remembered, Nancy, we worked with you back in Safaricom. So I'm really delighted to be here and share my journey and experiences. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Monica. So on my next left or right, sorry, it's Nancy. So Nancy, please introduce yourself. I know there will time. I know you guys are part of panel discussion, but I mean, I'm just trying to keep us active as we wait for the rest to join. Nancy?
Perfectly fine. So yes, my name is Nancy Matimo. I've been in the industry since 1993. Started off as an IT trainer and then moved on to a systems operator and grew with the industry into telco, into payments, into banking, into digital content and media, modern media as we know it today. Yeah, so that's what basically I've been doing, leading teams. For the last, I'd say, how many years? A couple of years I've been leading teams in large corporations. Safaricom, where we worked with Monica before. I was the head of enterprise products and innovation at one point, and also was a head of consumer products. At that point in time, we ran the entire portfolio, including M-Pesa, and then set up Safaricom Home from scratch, literally, before I moved on to MasterCard as VP for Sub-Saharan Africa and General Market Development. And whilst there, that's when I then moved on to MultiChoice MD for Kenya. But I'm really a product builder at heart. That's what I do. I'm an innovator, I'm a product builder. Wherever I go, I try to build things, sometimes get into trouble for building too many things. And now I have recently set up Serari, which is a startup, a brand new startup, focusing on fintech, purely or majorly leaning on financial empowerment, a lot more helping people create financial freedom through measuring and working through their financial wellness. We are also building an online learning management system for courses that you possibly not find outside there, a lot of them Africa-oriented, but also focused on the US market as well. So we have Serari Education, which is Serari Ed, and so many other things that we're doing at the same time. As you can see at my age, I'm possibly feeling like I'm running out of time, and I want to make the best use of what is left of time that's ahead of me and give back the world as much from what I have learned and taken from the world. So that's me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because we are about to start. I wish I had time to ask everyone to introduce themselves, but I can see Junie. Maybe you just say your name. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thank you. My name is Junie Asio. I live in North Carolina. I've probably been in IT longer than many of you have been alive. I've been in IT for over 30 years. I was the original IT person before the internet, before the laptop, before any of this. I've had a wonderful career. I actually worked at the University of Nairobi as a lecturer. I worked at AMREF as a computer services manager many years ago. And I currently work in finance. I've worked at Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank. Once you've been in IT as long as I have, you've pretty much worked with everybody. And I'm just honored to be a part of this panel.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm meeting you for the first time. We've been talking, but we never met. And I also want to recognize she's the daughter to my former rural area MP, Phoebe Asio, for those who may have heard the name. Yeah, thank you so much. Pastor Dr. Lando, just your name.
Thank you for the chance to be here. My name is Francis Lando, background in education, all through the cadres, from preschool to colleges. I'm based here in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. Ready to learn and just to be part of this. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ari. I know you're more spiritual than being a PhD holder. I know you don't like it, but welcome. Grace, of course, you're going to talk, so I don't need to introduce you. Fiona Asonga.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fiona Asonga. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of TESPOC, which is the Technology Service Providers Association of Kenya. Based in Nairobi, always lived in Nairobi, studied in Nairobi, everything in Nairobi, Kenya, homegrown. And one of the things I do is help companies get set up in Kenya in terms of their regulatory requirements. Then I'm at the forefront of policy and regulatory development that has been taking place in the country since I joined TESPOC about 16 years ago. And that has been a role that TESPOC has taken and run with. And I'll talk about it more as we move along. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Aisha, you have time, you're going to talk. G, I hope it's Gladwell, right? Please, just introduction, your name. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, the mute button was stuck. I'm happy to be here and happy to see all your faces. I'm happy to join this exciting group. My name is Gladwell Wayaki. I'm very new to the healthcare world, but very excited to be joining it. My background has been primarily in mental health, and then by forces of nature, you're finding that everything is steering towards IT. And so I decided to jump in. And so now I'm a healthcare IT consultant, primarily working with electronic medical records and installing electronic medical records across the US with large hospital systems. My hope is that whatever I'll be able to learn in the US will be something that can be useful also in Kenya. So that is a brief on me.
Mark, you're on mute.
Yeah, Naomi. Yes, introduction. You're on mute, Naomi. Okay. Can we go to Njeri? Just 1 minute, Njeri.
Good morning and good evening, all. My name is Jerry Moura. I represent 254 out here in San Francisco. As you can see, the bridge. I've been here for about 20 years or plus. I am in the physical security solution, electronic security field, and I've been doing it for about 17 years. And I have gone into places where Kenya, I have represented Kenya for the first time. My background is in marketing and sales. And in 2022 or 21, I made the bold move to transition into project management, program management in the same field. And I'm now involved in pre-construction project management for a logo company that my company works for. That's my brief introduction.
Thank you. Naomi?
Good morning for those who are in morning hours like me. And good day, everybody. My name is Naomi Thiru, and I am in healthcare IT. And I've been this for maybe 23 years. So excited to be part of this group and to learn more and see where we can propel forward as our IT team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shiko, Dr. Shiko. She's not here? Okay, Hazel, please introduce yourself. Okay, Yvonne Apio. Mheshimiwa, she's not here. Okay, so Meg, can you hear me? Meg? Okay, so I think we can just start. Thank you so much for coming in a bit early so that you can be able to at least, ice break by just introducing ourselves. This was that part of the official program, but again, it was important that we break the ice. So I will officially open this forum and just give you a brief history, how far we've come, and possibly where we are going to. So slightly over 4 months ago, the idea of bringing people together was born. It was born out of the need to create a platform where you, me, and anyone else who is here can be able to meet, share the idea, exchange technological ideologies, and of course, creating a platform where we can create an environment that even the young people can have a good ground to get into tech. And so one of the things we did, first we had a session with the industry experts and some government representative in our first forum, which happened like 4 months ago. And we had a very fruitful deliberations. We discussed on the trends that are taking place in technology. And then the second event was done last month on 15th, that it was a session because after that we created the WhatsApp group. And that WhatsApp group was like so fast, everyone was getting in. We didn't even know who this person is and the other person. So everyone was just getting to the WhatsApp group. So we said, how about getting a session to have a meeting? So we had a meeting on 15th just to get to know each other and of course, introduce ourselves to everyone. So we did that. And so we also decided to have this forum. This forum was basically meant for ladies. And I must be very categorical. I'm not part of you, Lando Daktari. Pastor, you're not part of this. But again, we also have to support our ladies, all right? So we are here just to support you. The forum is yours. And of course, I don't think there's any man who's going to talk after me because we want to leave these sessions to ladies, women in tech. You guys have had very nice portfolio in terms of what you've achieved to bring tech to what it is today. And we appreciate you so much. So with this, I think I will finish my part. And I'm going to, I was wrong. I'm going to ask Pastor Leandro to lead us in a prayer. After that, I think Meg should be able to give us the guideline for the day. Pastor Karibo.
Thank you, Dr. Let's believe and pray. Heavenly Father, you are God, and besides you there is none. All that happens in our lives, my Redeemer, you know them and you knew them all the way from the beginning. And therefore, at this time, as we gather, we'll go to deliberate on the issues of technology and how this impacts our lives. I want to pray, Lord, and to cover this conference with the blood of Jesus. We are proclaiming, oh God, your presence and your guidance, oh my Redeemer. Father, we are asking that everything that would be shared here would be for the glory and honor of your name. Thank you for the speakers. Thank you for the listeners. Thank you, oh God, for the companies and the processes and programs they are associated with. We thank you for their families, oh my Redeemer, and therefore, Lord, let your will prevail. Thank you, because this is all in your plan for our lives. We worship you, we adore you. Begin with us, even as we continue. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Meg, are you here? Can you hear me? Meg, okay. As you know, as we wait for her to join, Shiko, welcome. You never had a chance to introduce yourself. Maybe in the course of this session, you're going to get a chance to introduce yourself. But I think I need just to give you some few guidelines. So, because of the time, we tend to be here for only 2 hours. There are about 10 speakers, and so we have to be very strict on time. Each speaker will get 8 minutes, at most 8 minutes to share. And so we are going to have 2 moderators of the day, Aisha and Grace. We are going to have Q&A sessions led by Harriet and Wangeshi. And then I think that's it. Then we're going to have a closing remark. So Q&A, because we may not get time to have everyone sharing or asking a question, what we recommend is that please put in your question in the chat. We'll be able to monitor them. If there are some of them may be answered, some of them may not be answered, but again, we'll make sure that they get to the right person and the answer is given, even if it's not today. So I think that marks the end of that. And so I want to ask a moderator for panel 1, Grace. Please, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everyone. I know everyone is joining in from different timelines. So welcome to our panel. We'll be talking about unlocking opportunities for women in tech. My panelists are Gladwell Wayaki, Fiona Asonga, Shiko Gitau, Njeri Mbogoa Moura, and Juni Asio. Karibuni sana. So what I'd recommend, if you have a question for any of our panelists, drop it on the chat box and then we'll reach out to you. And when we have extra time, we can go through the questions as well. So my first question will be to Gladwell. Maybe based on your experiences, how can we collectively break down barriers and create a more inclusive environment for women in the tech industry?
Thank you so much for that question, Grace. I think because...
Gladwell, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think I'm one of the best people to answer this question because I am so new to this field, and I can maybe talk a little bit about some of the barriers that prevented me from getting into the field sooner, and I wish I did. One of them is just not knowing that these opportunities are out there. My background has been in behavioral health for over 20 years, And even though I have done different types of behavioral health, IT was one of the last that I encountered in administration. And so I think one of the main things that we need to do for our women is to let them know that there are abundance of opportunities in IT. Another thing is to know that you do not have to be IT trained per se. You do not have to be a coder. You don't have to be a data analyst. You don't have to be a systems engineer to participate in IT. You could be like me, who is learning an electronic medical record language and system. And just through that one channel, I have been able to access the IT world. That can be in healthcare, that can be in marketing, that can be in sales, that can be in tourism. So we really do need these very strong role models that we have here on our panel and even further afield, not only women, but also men, to encourage women to come into the IT space and let them know ways that they can do that.
Thank you, Gladwell. You've talked about not knowing where the opportunities are and maybe
Yes.
thinking because you don't know how to code and you're not into IT, you can't get into this field. So for you, what strategies did you use to navigate and get into this field and actually make a difference in it?
There's two parts to that. I really was not even looking out for it because I didn't know it was out there. I stumbled across it. So one of the recruiters reached out and offered me a training position, and I did not know what the training was for, but they said they would train. And so when I got in, then I realized that it was IT related. So the strategies would be entering through your training departments, your HR departments, asking them, what do you have in IT? And then choosing from there. That you can decide how technical you want to get. Another thing was reaching out to people who are already in the field. There were a lot of people who were willing to share information. Also reaching out on the internet and seeing what is there that I might be interested in my area of interest. So for example, if it's hospitality, what kind of IT programs do they use for booking, for customer service, for billing? Then, using those as strategies to figure out what you need to learn. And also just being curious and walking to your IT departments and finding out what do they do on a day-to-day. Are they customer facing? Are they always in front of the computer? So that you can generate your own ideas about what suits you and then take it from there.
Thank you for that. So IT is basically 360. It features in every part of whatever career you are in.
Any career you want, any career, even though you don't see it where in front of you, there is somebody enhancing that career with IT. So even if you don't find it here in Kenya, I'm currently in Kenya right now, but if you don't find it here in Kenya, you can reach out to other more developed countries and find out, in my field of HR, what kind of things are they doing there? How are they handling remote work? How are they handling payroll? So just explore in your area of interest what is being done there, and then you pave your own way. Don't wait for other people to have done it. Just, be courageous and make the leap.
Thank you for that, Gladwell.
You're welcome.
I'll move on to Fiona. Fiona, I'd like to ask you about mentorship. How important is it, and what role does it play in empowering women in tech?
Evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Grace, for this opportunity, and team for hosting this event. Mentorship is so important that I'll pick from where Grace, is it? G?
Yes.
had left off from.
Gladwell, sorry about
Gladwell. Yeah, we should put the whole name. Some of us don't have the memory to keep remembering things. So basically, I think mentorship is what has helped me get to where I am today. My background is international business administration finance. I worked in the finance sector, investment finance. Then I just saw like everyone was moving into IT. It was after the Y2K bug where we're told 1st of January 2000, everything will shut down. So, waiting to see, so what happened? So it was after that when I was graduating, they said, no, I never want to be pranked like that again. I need to get into this space. And so I did request to be an intern, despite having graduated already. I requested for an intern slot with 7 Seas Technologies, and they were good enough to take me on as an intern for a period of 6 months, where I now had to do the hands-on learning. And I asked for a sales position because in my mind, I figured if I do sales, like I've done finance investment, is quite a lot of sales and explanation and stuff. If I take that skill and use it for IT, then I can be able to learn tech. And I didn't have any limits of how deep I wanted to go or how shallow. I just wanted to be right in the middle of everything. And I like to be where the decisions are being made. I like to be at the cooking, part of everything. So yeah, it was an interesting learning journey. Had to do my Cisco certifications within that 6-month period. And coming in, not knowing anything IT, I remember struggling with the whole concept of converged technologies. But it's good that I did that, and I'm thankful for the mentorship that Mike Machara gave. And then that moved me on to TESPOC. From 7 Seas, I moved to TESPOC, and I've been at TESPOC ever since. And then at TESPOC, one of the things that they did that they required my kind of skill was managing the exchange point, and I needed someone who can do both administration, finance, and support the tech. when budgets are tight, you have to guys figure out how to get all your skills packaged. So I was that skill set that came very well packaged for them at that time. And yeah, it was actually challenging. Now working on a live network. I'm not selling anymore. I'm working on a live network, giving support to farms. But I had very good mentors at TESPOC, the likes of Frederick Murunga, Tejpal Bedi, Joe Msheru, Jonathan Somen, Chris Senanu. These were people who I found on the board at TESPOC who helped me grow and understand the industry. I remember Richard Bell hand-holding me, taking me to the minister's meeting. We're going to meet the minister. We have to go and get this policy change done. And I went in, first time, of course, as an observer. Thereafter, then learning and working with the team. And so there's been groups of CEOs who have been very good mentors and continue to be mentors even as we move along. In return, I also run mentorship programs. I work with African women in ICT. There's an organization called like that in Nairobi, and they do mentorship and skills development for girls from Form 4 and university. Just initially, they were doing it to keep them busy. Then I told them, no, the skills development is good, soft skills and everything, but also mentoring them so that they are confident. As they step into university, they are confident and they don't shy away from taking on the STEM courses they've been called for. And then just working with them as they go through. And after graduating, the university, we then help them get internship places. So we work with our members. We have right now 156 corporates that are members of TESPOC. We work with them to get these girls in as interns. We have the virtual sessions with them because like the programs, ACWIT does the programs in different parts of the country. So the current program is running in Turkana. And we look at the different challenges that these girls are having in Turkana, the network, just getting a phone, they're married off so early. The husband has to agree that they can use a phone, that they can get into the program. Sometimes they come in with their babies. So we work with ACWIT to just make sure that we can support where we can. We request service providers to provide connectivity to the centers. If it is a central place where they are gathered, we are able to negotiate for some concessions on connectivity. If they have to use their phones, then we're trying to see how to work that out to the different mobile operators so that then they get short codes they can use to get bundles and to be able to just do their courses and the programs. And we found that out of the mentorship programs that we do, a number of them come back and say, thank you, because it has helped me achieve 1, 2, 3 in my career, and my career path is now moving in a particular direction that makes sense. And one of the reasons for doing this, especially for the girls who graduate from the university, is because you get a girl, she's done a course in engineering, then she's a very good engineer and she enjoys the job and she's climbing the mast with the boys and doing everything. And then when she gets married, her husband checks in and she's told, no, you can't do the mast, you can't do this, you can't, the rules just become so many. And then the employer doesn't support. So the employer also begins to figure out, no, I don't want this can't happen and this. So then the girl is put in customer service. So you have a very good engineer, but she's not, instead of supporting still in the engineering department, she's now told, no, you go and do customer support. And she's not passionate about it. So we just end up killing their dreams and killing their opportunities. So what we try to do with Equity is to keep encouraging them, talking to employers and encouraging the employers to support the young women so that even as they move on, they can remain as engineers in their fields. And it's amazing to find out that the women engineers who did engineering in university in Kenya and are still engineers today in Kenya is very few. I only know one so far, Jacqueline Mwai, who was an engineer even at Telcom, and she's still an engineer today. But her role changed and she does business development, but she's actually with an engineer's mind, but she's actually a very, very good engineer and able to come in sometimes for some of these programs and support the girls. So also making sure that women have mentors, not just in men, but in other women as well. And sometimes I get requests for women who want mentorship. So we try to put them into clusters based on the level where they are at in their career, and provide mentorship, because mentorship is so important. When you hear what someone else has gone through, even as an entrepreneur, starting a business, and not just in a career, as someone starting a business, when you hear how hard it takes, how long it takes, it helps you realize that the tables won't turn overnight. And there are some things that you need to have as basics for you to be able to leap forward. When I came into TESPOC, we had a turnover of like 4 million bob, and guys were saying, yeah, we're doing well, and the members were only 8. When you look at where we are at today with 156 members, the turnover, of course, many times higher, but the effort and the work and the consistency and the discipline that has to be maintained at the top is just very important. And those are the things that I share even with young people or individuals who are starting ICT startups. We have a category of members for ICT startups. And these are individuals that we handhold as an office, my team and I. We spend time with them. We give them extra times. We even give them templates of what your internal policies and procedures should be. Because if you don't offer that kind of mentorship support, then you find you have a good idea, you're running a good business, but you're not breaking through, you're not getting to the right levels to begin to break even. And sometimes it has to do with a few tweaks here and there with how you are, the procedures and gaps within your processes and procedures that would help you then deliver better. And so you wouldn't know that if you don't get mentors, if you don't talk to people, no one tells you, and therefore you will not know. So I think, Grace, for me, in summary, that is, otherwise I'll talk for a whole hour about mentorship since I ran the program 3 hours to come to this. Yes. So I think in the interest of time, I'm happy to answer questions and to give guidance, and my LinkedIn details are actually were on the LinkedIn page for this meeting. And so we need to help build startups in Kenya. This year we're seeing a big challenge. There are a lot of gaps, there are a lot of opportunities that the policy environment has created, but we are not doing enough to bite into them. We are sort of like sitting and expecting serendipitously it's going to happen, and no one wants to leap in. And I keep saying, if I had the money as an individual, I would invest in this. I would invest in this. The opportunities are so many, with ICT being the tool and the driver for all the engagements we are having with all our national governments, county government offices, ministries, state agencies, and all. So the opportunities are wide. But to be able to tap into them, someone needs to know where, how, what are these? And I'm always happy to help and handhold through that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fiona. You've really explained everything I wanted to ask you, including the second question about the opportunities. Thank you very much for your very candid explanation on mentorship and the opportunities for women. Talking about startups and tech companies, I have a question for Shiko Gitau. As a founder and CEO, how would you leverage technology to address the gender disparity and maybe promote equality in the tech industry?
Thank you so much, Grace, and thank you, Fiona, and everybody who's in the call. So just as an introduction, my name is Dr. Shiko Gitau. I'm the CEO of Kala. We are Digital Innovation Lab. We are headquartered here in Nairobi, but we serve all of Africa and some places in Eastern Asia. So it is interesting that you talk about how do we as founders of startups encourage diversity, especially from a women's perspective in tech. So going back, I was happy when Fiona was talking about when I started in tech, I was the only girl in my networking class. I was the only girl in my first team that I ever worked with. I was the only girl in so many places. So I was very deliberate. I used to tell myself, when I get a chance, whenever I'll get a chance, I'll have to hire women, because there's a syndrome that is called the unicorn syndrome, or queen bee syndrome, that women do not want other women around them. I'm such a sanguine, I'm an extrovert, and I love people around me, especially young women. So I was very, very deliberate about saying I want to be part of any women's movement. So when I came back home for the first time, I was part of the I Have movement around women. So encouraging women, becoming a role model, becoming a mentor, putting myself out there for young women to see that there's a woman out there. And when I came back home, I had a PhD. So everybody used to say, oh, Shiko, you have a PhD in computer science. And I wanted to be that woman that other young women could actually emulate. And then also on the quality of my work also was very, very important for people to see. It's not just about having a title or being a woman in computing, but also the value and quality of your work that you're putting out to the world needs to be very, very high quality. So people are not saying that you're getting some of these opportunities just because you're a woman. So being yourself, but being a person of excellence is the number one thing of bridging that divide. Because when men recognize that you're adding value and you can deliver quality, they are able to risk bringing other women, especially in a technical field, because you're always assumed not to be able to do work. And I remember, like in graduate school, I would be doing all this work, I'll be writing papers, and initially it was like, oh, there's no woman. So I'll bring the coffees and the muffins. Whenever I came back home, I'll carry all like coffee and stuff back to school. And what would happen, people, the lab used to know I'm the one who's going to bring coffee and muffins to the lab every Wednesday during our team meeting. And I realized I'm going to embrace my femininity, but also I'm going to totally nail being a great scholar. And I publish more than any one of them. And even if you talk to my lab until today, they say, hey, you used to write and give us coffee and muffins. So that is the thing. And I've taken that as part of my career journey. Every office I've gone to, I've made sure that I'm not going to dump down that the fact I'm a woman. It's a very essential part of who I am. I love being a woman. I am seeing Nancy here. We worked with Nancy. I love wearing heels. I love lipstick. I love nice hair. I love being this woman, but also want to be able to say being a woman does not remove the fact that I can deliver excellence. So my number one thing is, as a woman, you have to deliver excellence. Otherwise, there's no diversity, because nobody else is going to risk bringing a woman if there's mediocrity in your delivery. Number two is, if you're in a position to hire or to influence hiring for young women. Yeah. And I've done that everywhere I've worked. Everywhere I've worked, I've hired a woman. The moment I was given the right to be able to hire somebody, I hired women. And because I said, I cannot be the only woman here. I have to show that it's not only me. Yeah. It's not only me who's the only African girl who can be able to deliver, bring other African women who are able to deliver, bring them in. So I remember even at Safaricom, which was my last employment, everybody was saying, oh, these alpha women, my team used to be called alpha, oh, these alpha women, because we were just a bunch of women and we're doing excellent work. Yeah. My current team, our leadership team is 80% women. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. Only our finance and a tech team, our tech lead is actually male. So and it's very, for me, it's very, very deliberate. If I can find a highly qualified woman, I will hire a highly qualified woman. Yeah. And it has to be that deliberate because men have enough other opportunities. But you as a woman, you have to be able to put yourself in a position to be able to hire other women. Because otherwise, who is going to hire them? And the moment you hire them and they've shown quality, I can guarantee you they will not last with you for 2 to 3 years. Somebody else will snap them, which is perfectly okay. Because then they are going to, because you've inculcated in them the mentality that you hire other women, I've hired you as a woman, they go and hire other women. So we are creating more opportunities for women and you're keeping more women, we are bringing more women at senior levels, even at low levels. Number 3 is open yourself to role modeling and mentorship and coaching. And I've organized them in that way because I realized sometimes as a senior woman, you want to be able to do everything. You want to go to, like I want to go back to Kisumu Girls High School and mentor young women there and tell them, you see me, even me, I sat in that desk and I was in that dorm and did this. You're not able to do that. What you're able to do is mentor the people, the next level from you, and encourage them to mentor the next level after them. That way, you're able to connect with them in a level that they're able to understand. Yeah. And they're able to connect with the level below them, the way they're able to understand, and so forth and so forth. That way that you're creating this pipeline of women who are translating skills from one level to the other. So for example, if I went to my high school and I told them, this is how to do your P&Ls, this is how to hire, you'll scare them, right? When you tell them, oh, my board, they drove me crazy last year. I was not sleeping. They are looking at you, board what? But if I tell the level below me, this is how to handle a board. This is how to handle your P&L. This is how to hire. This is how to fire. And you're coaching them how to be that. Then they will have relevant skills for your level as they're training the level below them to be able to do that. So you're building this successorship plan across the whole funnel. Because sometimes what you have learned is that we are lacking senior women because there are not enough senior women that were mentored to be senior. We are doing the below, as Fina has talked about the mentorship, we are doing the below the funnel, the big part of the funnel. We are mentoring them how to get into the tech workspace. We are mentoring them how to be great engineers, to do this, but you're not telling them how to influence and negotiate and do all these things to be able to go up the ladder. And that's why as you go up, it becomes super lonely being a woman up here, especially in the tech space. And somebody said they are not a techie. Me, I'm a techie. Yeah. I can sit down. I mean, if you put a gun on my head, I will actually code, but I don't want to code. But I sit down with our clients and design strategies for them in the tech space. I understand tech and how it works. Yeah. I understand everything about it. So I am an engineer, right? But I have this other skill set that enable me to be that. But young women who will tell the next level that for you to be this woman, you have to be able to understand I am a techie, but also for me to be able to influence, I have to embrace these other skills. I'll give you an example. I hate accounting. I love maths, but I totally hate accounting. I hate Excel sheets and macros, all of that stuff I hate. Until one of my mentors told me, Shiko, for you to be a leader in an organization, you have to be extremely uncomfortable, but understand how to read your books. I had to take myself to Strathmore, enroll for a course, and actually learn accounting and learn how to do books and do this. And while I'll not do it on a daily basis, I have somebody who does it, I can be able to read it. And that by just doing that, it opened up for me opportunities to sit in boards. Yeah, because now when I sit in boards, I'm asked to interrogate books. Yeah, how would you respond to books? So I'm able to sit in boards and be able to interrogate books because I know actually how to read it. But if I'd not had a mentor telling me, Shiko, I know you hate this, you want to be a tech your whole life, but if you're going to grow and influence and we need more women in you in tech, up here influencing, you have to be able to be uncomfortable with some of these things. firing people, hiring people is an extremely uncomfortable experience. But I had to sit down with a mentor. In fact, when I had to hire to fire somebody, he took me through a script and told me, this is what you do. Don't take it personally. This is the decision. These are decisions that you have to make. And it is that mentorship that I was given by a senior man at that point to be able to do this, I'm able to pass down to somebody who is next level, who would want to grow into this. And for me, I'm comfortable. Let's tell my team, does anybody want the role of a CEO in this company? I'm willingly going to give it to you. Yeah, because you want to build a pipeline of great leaders. And for me, that is it. So it is you yourself, first of all, putting yourself out there as a role model. Get covered in newspapers. Let somebody, like yesterday, somebody sent me a screenshot of myself. Somebody had done an article I had no idea about. I don't do cease and desist. I say, let somebody will come across that article and it will inspire them. I am more than grateful that my life is inspiring them without even my knowledge. Do that. Put yourself out there. Number two, be very deliberate in hiring women. Yeah. And number two, train and coach. Yeah. Coach the women and the next level from you to be as good as you, to be able to take up those positions as you move to the next level. That is my contribution. Thank you. I hope that is helpful.
Thank you so much for that, Chico. And you've actually answered the second question about women who want to take up leadership roles. What is the first step to take up and what they need to do to get there? And you've really explained that very well. Thank you so much.
And I add something.
I'll move on to Njeri Mbogwa.
Grace?
The question is also related to what Chico was saying.
Grace,
Chico, are you saying something?
Yes, I wanted for you to be a senior leader. I mentioned a couple of people. You need to put if you want, so I talked about mentorship. I didn't speak about myself. For you to be a senior leader, you're not going to do it in isolation. You have to bring people along with you. So for me, I have my own personal board. In the same way I have a board for my company, and I sit in other boards. I learned that sometimes we give ourselves to our companies and to other companies. Why don't we, I treat myself as Chico Inc. Yeah. And I put a board around myself, people who I know will vouch for me, but also will just call me out and tell me, Chico, you're joking. Do you know how many times they've come and said, that is that one, no. Like even sometimes I'll put up like something on LinkedIn. One of them will just say, Chico, can you pull it down now? And then I'll explain later. So you need a board around you. And my board is made of different people, not one person. So you never have one person who can give you all. You need a board that has different aspects of your life. And sometimes you lean on some of them more than others at different aspects of your life. You need a board that is going to feed into your personal life, because you're not just a person who works. You're a mom, you have a partner, you have all these things. So you need to be able to have people who are speaking to you in that component, yeah? And then you're going to go through hard time in life. You need people who are going to pull you out of those hard times in life by speaking life into you. Then you need people who speak to you spiritually, yeah, to your heart, yeah, who are growing you spiritually. You need mentors who are going to speak to you intellectually. I have friends who I sit down and when I come out, I'm thinking, okay, I need to go and I need to up my game. They're upping your game because they're pushing you to think the next level. So you need a spiritual mentor. You need emotional family mentor. You need a coach, a mentor who is going to, the way you're pulling others, they are pulling you to the next level. Yeah. And you need a shrink. I always say, get a therapist. You're not getting anywhere. You're going to go mad. They're going to give you depression medicine. Get a mentor. Get a therapist. Honestly, have a therapist. You can decide you want to speak to them every week, every 2 weeks, every month, but get somebody who is able to speak for you. Like your mental health is very, very important. And it becomes super critical when you have people you're responsible for. You know, people think being a CEO and being a leader is easy, but you're responsible for other human beings and their lives. So you need somebody who is able to get you out of that rat race and put you in perspective. And there have been times where I've periods where I've said, I don't want a therapist, I'm going away. And those have been so hard for me. But every time I've gotten a therapist on a regular, I have this amazing woman who I speak to, and she'll just tell me, she could know that one is you speaking negative to yourself. Oh, but they say that is valid. Actually, what do you think you're going to think about it? So you need this board of people that you can lean on in different aspects of your life, not just one person. As a leader, that's what you need. To prepare yourself for that, you need to start putting this board together for yourself. Thank you.
Very, very important. Have an internal emotional support, external emotional support. Thank you for that, Dr. Shiko. Let's move on to Njeri Mbogwa. Shiko has almost answered your question, so I'll just move to the next one I had for you. Based on your experience, how do you envision the future of tech being shaped by contributions of women?
First of all, I'd like to echo what the previous speakers have said. Some of the responses have been preempted. So the future of tech, it's opening, but looking at the numbers that are being provided to us, tech is very broad, as it has already been described. We have the core functions of tech, where we have software engineers, and then we also have the supporting functions where we come in. People like myself, we come in to support those industries. So from my experience, I actually dance around the line of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it's a fine line for us, especially out here. And as Shiko has mentioned, we have to make sure that we are performing at our utmost best. We bring our A game to the field. So with our contribution, and being that our contribution is it's supposed to be at its A game, we don't want to be looked as being mediocre in what we're delivering to the industry. So we have to make sure that whatever we're bringing or contributing to this industry is what is going to attract and also shape the inclusion of women in the tech field. So my response is very brief with regards to that. However, I did want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a policy or a program that is actually run in most companies, and based on today's factors, with all this layoffs that are happening, some of the budgets for these programs are being reduced. With that being said, we have to actually avoid being seen as the tokens coming into the field. Why we're being hired, is it because we're women? And also, are we in to fill a certain percentage? I know as women, when we come into the industry, we have to perform at our utmost best. And we also have to be very granular and detailed in whatever we deliver. And Shiko has already talked about it. She's talked about the things that she did above and beyond. Upskilling is also very important for us. We have to train, get some certifications to be able to enhance our performance, so that we're seen as being the same level playing field. I believe that being a Kenyan is also something that is a very good trait for us. We're very hardworking, and it also helps us think outside the box. So also the breaks that we take coming back home and coming back here, it helps us to actually maintain a different perspective and be able to perform at our utmost best to contribute to that. DEI means that you're also bringing in a different mix of talent from different fields, such as management, hospitality, and marketing. So this is going to bring in a whole background of people that will actually add some different perspectives to how we deliver in the tech industry. I know tech has been defined before as being in the area of software engineering, but Gladwell has also mentioned that we have also brought in people who have different backgrounds that have helped to implement programs that are needed or systems that are needed. So I hope I answered your question, because a lot has been said. I didn't want to echo what everybody else has said before me.
Yes, you have, Jerry. Thank you very much. You've explained the diversity very well. You've pointed out that we don't want to be tokens. We want to actually own that space and be competent and do the work very well. Thank you for that.
Okay.
I'll move on to Junie. Junie, you've talked about your extensive work experience, and I'd be interested to know maybe a personal experience that you had where embracing diversity in a team led to innovation and innovative solutions and outcomes.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. I'm going to answer your question in a roundabout way, but I will eventually answer it. I will address the diversity, the DEI, and I will also address the technology. Oxford Dictionary defines technology as the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. Now, this is a very broad definition if you think about it. So it encompasses things such as appliances, your refrigerator is technology, vehicles, farming, construction. We tend to limit technology to IT. That is not correct. We really should not do that. Technology is much broader than IT. And in fact, the AU has a digital transformation strategy where they've set a goal to include every African, of digital inclusion for every African by 2030. That is 6 years from now. I don't know if it'll happen. It's an ambitious goal, and I really hope it happens. Having said this, there's another GSMA report that says that by 2025, half of all sub-Saharan Africans will have mobile services, will own cell phones, okay? When you look at this cell phone ownership, and by the way, I will tell you why I'm focusing on cell phones, okay? Cell phones are a gateway technology. It is using a cell phone that gives you exposure to other technologies. For example, you can use your cell phone to find out better farming methods. When is it going to rain? What should I plant? Where should I sell this? There's a lot of information that you can find from cell phones. So I'm going to focus on mobile phones. Laptops, desktops, that type of technology is great, but it is cumbersome. And it does not really work too well in the rural areas. So when you look at this, when they say that half of sub-Saharan Africa will have mobile services, you find that African women are 30% less likely than men to own a smartphone. So even though women do own phones, guess what? They have the more basic phones that do not have access to the internet. This is before you even go to girls, okay? And remember that Africa is the fastest growing population in the world. By 2050, 25% of the world is expected to be African, and over 50% of these women, 50% of these Africans will be women. So let's look a little bit at these women. Of these women, 60% of them live in rural areas. We have not mentioned the rural woman, have we? We cannot leave them behind. They are key to our growth. So I'll give an example about my daughter. My daughter attended Wikondiek Primary School, deep village. Many of you have probably not even heard of Wikondiek. That's where she started her school. From there, she went to Maseno Girls, and then she came to the US. From when she was a very young child, she wanted to be an accountant. She wanted nothing to do with computing. She came to the US, she was still going to be an accountant. I said, okay, fine, accountant, sounds good. Okay, like Shiko, I don't get the accounting thing, but that's what she wanted to do. Then when it came time to college, what does she do? She applies to study computer science at NC State, which is a very difficult college. Not only that, she graduates magna cum laude. And I'm like, okay, yeah, accounting, computer science, sure, that's great. But then she says, nah, I think now I'm going to go and study accounting. So guess what? She's doing her master's in accounting. And I said, so why did you not just study accounting? She said, you know what? I did computer science because I could. Now that because I could has a lot underneath there. It means that there was no bias, there were no barriers. She did this simply because she could. Okay. Now, when you then go and look at the women in the village and the young girls in the village, they do not have access to cell phones. And when you look at those who do have access to cell phones, when you look at what they do with them, the boys research, again, there's studies for all of this, which I can quote for you if you're interested. The boys will use the internet for things like surfing the internet, playing games, and so on and so on. Girls, on the other hand, use phones to communicate with each other and to send text messages. And when you talk to these girls, they say, oh, I really would like to know how to use a phone better. But when you give them a phone, they don't know what to do with it. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between giving a girl technology and her knowing what to do with it. Now, of course, when you go to the rural areas, they definitely do not want to give girls phones, because what's going to happen? Boys are going to be calling them, boda, you know, all of that stuff, right? So girls are missing out on this entirely. And by the way, another study showed that when girls in Africa, young teenage girls in Nigeria want phones, they say the best way to get it is to find a rich older man, and you're guaranteed to get a phone. And so even when the girls have these phones, they still have to hide this phone use because their parents do not embrace this whole technology thing. And if they did have phone access through their mothers, remember the mothers have the older phones, which really do not do very well on the internet. So if we are to really bring up technology, all types of technology, not just information technology, we really do have to not leave our brothers and sisters in the rural areas. Governments have to set clear goals, all right, to enable women to go online. We have to work very hard to change perceptions of rural women that a phone is not a bad thing. And we do this by showing them the value and the privileges that having a phone can give them. And we also have to train girls to use phones. Many of you go to these, when you have a phone broken in Kenya and you go to get it repaired, it's usually a young man who's repairing it. Why aren't women trained to do this? Why? Instead, the girls are trained to do what? Sell units, right? I mean, is that not already discrimination right there? And then when we talk about technology in general, we need this next very powerful youth. And by the way, it's called a youth quake, African youth quake. We need them to start looking at other forms of technology. You know, we still use the djembe, isn't it, to dig, right? That was a technology that was developed millennia ago, many years ago. I really expect the youth to use technology to come up with an alternative. Why are they still digging with that same old djembe of long ago? They are the ones who they can change this. Now, we can do this by mentoring them and giving them guidance and so on and so on. So, in conclusion, why did my daughter go and study computer science? Well, no one told her she couldn't do so. Okay, she was surrounded by women who were in technology. She was surrounded with technology. And by the way, even though she was surrounded in technology, we controlled her technology use. In my house, nobody gets a laptop until they can type 40 words per minute without looking at the keyboard. And I don't care how old you are, you will not get a laptop until you can do that. And also, we monitor what they do online. We show them what you can do with a computer. So my daughter basically grew up in a village of engineers. And now her goal is to study accounting and be an auditor, with an IT auditor with the IRS. Who knows where she'll end up? But let's bring all the others with us. And remember, my child went to a rural village school, right? A rural village school in Kenya. We can do this. Thank you very much.
That's a beautiful story, Junie. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of our panel discussion. My name was Grace Karongo. I'm a web editor with the Nation Media Group, and I also have a web-based app, which is AI for creatives to automate their tasks. You can check it out. It's called Akili Online. I'll hand over the session to Harriet, who can go through the question and answer session. And I can see some of the questions have been answered, but Harriet, the floor is yours. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Grace, for that. My name is Harriet Auma. Unfortunately, today I'm not in a position to share through the video link, so we'll just connect on the audio. I'll be taking you through the questions that have been posed on the chat for the first panel session. We'll start with Esther Wangai's question, which I think before we start, I think the question can be better answered with Dr. Shiko. I had elaborate something on how we can grow in the career in a levelized manner. So I'll pose this first question, which Esther asks. I agree, career change as you get older seems quite challenging. What resources are available to inform these decisions? Dr. Shiko, over to you.
Thank you very much. The good thing is I always tell people when I was in school and I was doing computing, the stuff we were learning was so hard. We're just like I think our class was 35. And just everybody, I mean, it was out of reach for everyone. Even for us guys doing computer science, it was really out of reach. But now you can really get everything, literally everything, full curriculums online. So it's a matter of you organizing yourself, and you don't have to pay. What you need is just an internet connection and a device, and that device can be a mobile phone to learn. What you need is discipline. And that is the one thing that most people don't like hearing, because being able to move careers, being able to grow in your career needs a bit of discipline, and discipline in two ways. It's discipline in learning and being very focused on that learning agenda, saying I want to be, so for example, we are talking to somebody who's wanting to be a data scientist. They've been an accountant for a long time. They've done admin work for a long time. They're in their late 30s, early 40s. And they want to be data scientists because they feel like they have done analytical work all their life. They can apply that analytical thinking, but they need the skill set to do that. That means taking online classes at night. Yeah, being very deliberate, saying I'm carving out 2 hours or 3 hours every single day to learn. Yeah, and having goals that you're achieving in that learning process, right? And then saying I'm going to take a boot camp, I'm going to do 3 days and go to this boot camp and learn. Yeah, so it's investing yourself in the skill set. That is number one. Number two is hunting for opportunities, and it's not paid opportunities. And I'm speaking to you hoping that you're not a Gen Z and you're not going to come back to me with like, oh, they need to pay me. If you want to change your career, especially when you're older, you need to be able to build a portfolio that is going to compete with that Gen Z who grew up with a mobile phone on their hand. Yeah. So you have to go and hunt for opportunities to practice and apply the skill set that you're learning. That means getting an internship, volunteering somewhere, going online and building a Git repo or a Behance repo that is going to showcase that you're able to do some of this work. There's so many tasks that people put online and in these charity platforms that somebody wants somebody's help with. Go there and look for them. Practice, because in this our field, it's not about a CV, it's about your portfolio. It's about how you're able to showcase, I'm able to do X. And that you will not, if you come to me and you're saying, I've been an admin person all my life and I want to be a data analyst, I look at you and say, hey, I want to help, lakini saizi, siwezi. But if you come into me, yes, I've been an admin my whole entire life. And now I want to be an analyst. I have taken these courses online. This is my portfolio. I've been helping this startup or this NGO. Here's my portfolio for the past 6 months. Give me 3 months to work with your team to practice. And then after that, once I see your work and I know you, the existing skills that you're bringing, that you worked in this other space, you're bringing for me, as Fiona had said, a matched skill set. So you have a skill set that I can utilize, like the soft skills from other fields, but with the technical skills for the field that you want. So it's about being able to be very disciplined about learning and being able to hold and be humble and going out to create those opportunities for yourself. Yeah, because this field will absorb you if you can show. I'll give an example. I will not mention her name because she'll kill me. One of the people that I've worked with was an air flight attendant. Yeah. they were air flight attendants. And they were really good at it because they worked for a long, maybe 6 years in the space. And then they decided, you know what, I want to be a data scientist. They went, took time out, went and took an 1-year master's in data science. I loved, when I saw their CV, I loved it because I realized, you know, explaining data science to people is really, really hard. And some of the data components to people, it's really, really hard. You have to break it down simply. But somebody who has already done stuff in the hospitality industry is able to handle, I mean, do you know how hard it will be to handle like a first class client? You know, those first class flights, if you've never, they're very entitled because they paid a lot of money to be in those seats. So they can treat that flight attendant really, really badly, but they have the grace to be patient and be nice. So I know this person, when I send them to work with a really stubborn C-level executive, they're able to handle them with grace because they've had the experience to do that. They have the soft skill of doing that. So we are building on top of the existing skill set. So if you're coming into this field and you're building on top of an existing skill set, look at that and see how you're going to build on top of it. It's very easy, but you have to have the discipline of learning and the humility to go and take a 99% pay cut to build your portfolio. That will be my input.
Thank you, Dr. Shiko. That is quite elaborate. Esther, I believe your question has been answered. We'll just move to the next question, which I see has also been answered by Gladwell. Yet again, I feel I can still pose it to Fiona because I listened to Fiona and I understood that he has really interacted with women long enough in the tech space. So Fiona, this question goes to you. Maybe probably you can just tell us the future. What do you see as the future of women in technology, and what do you think will impact our lives, being that seemingly in your career path you've really mentored and interacted with women for a long time? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harriet. I think it's been mentioned that there's a lot of data already that's supporting the state of women, how they use their phones, how they use tech, how they adapt and use technology. I like the fact that today, when it comes to mobile phones, we've got 2 service providers who are now assembling phones in Kenya. My challenge to them has been to have the phones developed with mindset of a woman. What does a woman want to see on the phone as apps that come automatically with the handset? A lot of the times the apps that come on the phone are apps that respond to a patriarchal approach to technology. So then the challenge is, can we have these phones already installed, things that have to do with health, nutrition, the things that matter to women? What do you want to use your phone for? And so that said and done, the reason that I challenge them is because a study was done by McKinsey and it showed that by next year, 2025, 70% of the global economic decisions will be made by women. That means if we are not, and I keep telling the men around us, if we are not empowering those women to move to C-level, because there's been a period when Shiko says that it's lonely at the top. Yes, it's very lonely at the top. There's been a long period when there were no women getting to the C-level. For almost 12 years, the textbook board could not get women representatives to sit on the board. And so when you're going through having your babies and the guys are not understanding the issues that you're going through, because it's an all-male board, and they're like, okay, their wives go through this. They've never really understood, or sometimes the pregnancies are different, and sometimes you get hospitalized, other times you just go through it smoothly. So those dynamics became very difficult for a full male board to have to deal with. And then we made a conscious decision to make sure that there can be women representation on the textbook board. And thanks to the Constitution, that now we decided now we have to align with the Constitution, at least 30%. And that meant that service providers had to up their game within the organizations to move the women up and to make sure that these women are able to then participate in the decision making. And I think that women have a very critical role to play, not just in tech, but in the entire economy. If this study is anything to go by, because this study was done in 2022, and it said all factors in 2022 held constant. We don't mentor women. We don't encourage them. We leave things the way they were in 2022. We don't even have this kind of sessions, and we let the women just do their thing. It is estimated that by 2025, 70% of the global economy, and that is about 15 trillion US dollars in terms of consumption budgets, will be decisions made by women. Are we the women who are going to be part of that decision making? In whatever activities you are involved in, whether it is within your office, whether it is in your church, whether it is in your circle, your chamas, wherever it is that you are involved in as a woman, your clubs, where are you? I'm surprised today to even I walk into golf clubs and I find that sometimes some have no women leaders. So I'm asking, where are the women? We still have a lot of work to do, but the work is not going to be easy if even the women at the C-level share away, because we also have women at the C-level who have gone through the hustle, the hurdles, the challenges of getting to the C-level. And when they get there, they're tired and they are giving up before they've even started. That is when the battle really begins. Because like Shiko said, we need to pull up the women. That gap that is between the C-level women and the younger women needs to be filled. And sometimes you look for people in the middle there and you're not getting them. And myself, just like Shiko as a woman leader, TESPOC has 60% women, 40% men and staff employment. And I've made sure that at the management position, it's 50-50. Actually, it's less. It is, we've got only 2 men at the management level, and the rest, the other 4 departments are run by women. So out of 6 heads of departments, 4 are women. And it has to be a conscious effort. We need to consciously keep on getting women into those positions. You build a woman and you ask her, please build another woman under you. Please build another. And so the thing is, as you build, for every woman you build, then you also try to see that we're not leaving behind the boy child. Because again, our over-empowered girls are not able to get partners in life sometimes because we make them too strong, too headstrong, that they're missing out on other aspects of their life that is also important. And I think I like the idea that Shiko has of having a personal board, because it's only in that personal board that they're able to help you manage and tone down on that very overbearing personality that you'd have as a strong woman who has fought through the ranks and now you're sitting there at the top. And so I think that the role of women is becoming more relevant, and not just in making sure that you are seen at the C-level, but also in being able to play the fundamental role given to us by nature as creators and the people who nurture others. That means we have to always make sure we still think of the balance between the boy child and the girl child. When I do my mentorship programs for people just below the C-level levels of management, I combine, it's both men and women. Why? Because we are in that level where we need the right leaders. We need to be able to have our leadership thinking in the right way. And that requires that we are mentoring both the men and the women to be able to make the right decisions that impact our political, social ecosystems in the right manner to have the right impact, to get us as a country to where we're going to. And I do believe that by the year 2030, yes, Africa will be connected. A lot of Africans will be connected. There's a lot of effort that I am involved in digitizing Africa. And when we look at the reports of data on how that is happening, the minute a government goes digital, the citizens have no option. And so somehow things have to work for them.
Because time is not on our side, so maybe I can just cut you short to finalize so far so that we can move to the next session.
Actually, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much. We had a number of questions on the chat, but I think we will not address all of them right now, probably after the session. Harriet Oma was taking you through the Q&A session for panel 1. Well, I'm a Web3 software developer, also known as blockchain developer. I'm also the co-founder of VChain Academy in Kenya with a presence across African countries. Looking forward to engaging you more in the future. Thank you. I now welcome Aisha for the second session of the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harriet, and thank you to the first panel. I think you did a great job in addressing a lot of the concerns that we have as women in the tech space. In this session, you're going to be addressing the challenges that women face in this industry. I have been in the tech industry myself, and my entry point was leveraging my skills as a sales and marketing person and identifying opportunities where I can enhance those skills within the tech space. So as you can imagine, it's a very competitive industry. Sometimes you have to work very long hours. And the truth of the matter is, you know, as a woman, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're still maybe in the childbearing, you know, stages. You still have to balance that part of your life. And at times, and most of the time, it's overwhelming. So I would like to invite Nancy Matimu to talk to us about, you know, the gender challenges that we face as women and give us, you know, high-level strategies on how we can navigate that. Nancy, over to you.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. Let me first recognize the powerful women I've worked with in the past, whom I'm seeing doing an incredible job, and of course, paying forward. Dr. Shiko Gitao, you know, she's phenomenal. I worked with this girl. So what you're hearing from her is actually very practical, relevant, and from real experience. And Fiona, thanks for the work that you're doing at TESPOC. We worked together when I was at MultiChoice also, and you supported the team I was working with significantly, and various other people. So let me come back to, first and foremost, I think the question, when I read it earlier, you asked me what are the challenges, but what can we do collectively to ensure that those challenges are addressed? So part of the work that I did was to first look at what exactly is the challenge. Number one, we have a serious drop to the top phenomenon, even today. In fact, during the COVID period, it wasn't, where you have not just women in the tech field generally, but women collectively. What is called the drop to the top phenomenon has actually become worse than it was. And then specifically in the tech industry or the tech-related world, it's actually not, but it's not a great story. In fact, in general, let me just read for you some statistics. Is that March 2023, the drop to the top, the overall drop to the top was sitting at about 25% for C-suite positions, 25% overall, and then entry level at 48%. So women would drop off 48, you know, so you'd only have about 48% of women in entry level. But now let's look at tech and information and media. Tech, information, and media is actually below the average of the overall, sitting at 37% at entry level and 20%. So those are the first stats I want to share with you. And then at the back of your mind, please remember that everybody is aware today that DEI is very important. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important, and the fact that inclusive teams are 35% more productive. 35% more productive by just bringing in either women or, you know, racial diversity or other forms of diversity. And they make better decisions 87% of the time. So the first thing that we have to do is to first and foremost uncover and understand what are the challenges. A lot of these have to do with the myths and the stereotypes that exist already. And the first one is that women are held to a higher standard than men. So we do have a mindset problem, because in a study that was done, it showed that women themselves, we ourselves already believe that we are held to a higher standard. 52% of the women believe they're held to a higher standard, whereas men, only 33% of men believe that women are held to a higher standard. But the fact is, all of us agree that women are held to a higher standard. So that's the first challenge we have to deal with. And I like when Shiko was speaking, she spoke about excellence. You know, for you to sort of wade through this whole space and be recognized, because one of the ways of also getting to grow and just muddling through the fog is that you have to be visible, but you have to be visible in a way that actually gets you to grow. You have to be really good. And Fiona also spoke to that about her combination of a very unique skill set that not everybody had. She had a tech combination with finance and investments, and of course, business exposure, and having been mentored by a great person or personalities like the likes of Mike Macharia and so many others, Joe Mushero, titans of the industry. Now, that combination makes you unique. So one of the things that we have to address, the challenge, is the fact that women will always be held by a higher standard. I've been in forums where men say it is not true. I can tell you, it is so true. I've had to go through, and worked also in large organizations, and I think Shiko can also tell you from her experience in one of the organizations that we worked with, women were actually held to a much higher standard. A lot more, what would be frowned upon on a woman will not be frowned upon on a man. So always remember that. It's a fact. Number two, many businesses aren't ready to hire women for top executive positions, but the same goes for tech, for what we spoke about. Now, it's a staggering 50% of women believe it. So if we believe it, we have a mindset challenge as well, because we have to wire ourselves in a way that we believe that we can actually make it. Yes, we've got to be excellent at what we do, but I can tell you at no one point, strange enough, and I think a lot of the women that have spoken before me will tell you that I don't think they really consider themselves as, I'm not good, this organization won't give me an opportunity. I don't remember thinking of that at one point in my career. In fact, strange enough, I never actually even thought about men and women. I was just one of them. We're just one of us, Yeah, but still, to a great extent, I got an influence to almost behave like a man, and had to continue reminding myself that I am a woman, because obviously there are too many men in the equation. And number three, the other challenge is, which is very true, family responsibilities don't leave enough time for women. So when we go, we all desire, we don't want, I highly doubt that many of us think that work is it. We have a vocation, and part of that vocation for some of us, and majority, tends to be the family way, not for everybody, or at least you hope you would have a family and run a family. Now, my husband, I always say, this guy just gets home and puts up his feet. He can work for as many hours and as long as he wishes. He can be away for as long as he wishes. But I am expected to be at home to take care of our 5 children. Well, they are now all grown up, and the last one is now turning 20 this year. So all fully grown up, pretty much. But I had to be there for my children. And I recall at one point, it was so bad that, we had to agree. Now I'm hiring 2 helps. So the support network that we're talking about, women invest more in the support network that they require for, to be able just to work and have the home going and the family going. And then at one point, women are expected to be the ones picking children during my generation, dropping and picking children. And we didn't have extra money, but I said, you know what, we could hire a driver, family driver. So you end up spending so much more, but it's worth it. It's well worth it. It frees you up as a woman to be able to actually compete at an even and equal playing ground. The next other issue that women don't have the same kind of connections as men. And that's because when I was busy getting back at home, it's a challenge, it's a real challenge. When I was busy getting back at home, what is my husband doing? He's hanging out at the club, and today he's playing all hours of golf. He can do 4 hours every weekend and sometimes every morning, 2 hours. I cannot do that because I have to be the one, checking on what is going on at the home. So unfortunately, that's how we get disenfranchised as women. So those challenges, then you have to figure out how do I then address and tackle this challenge. and you find your own forums or ways of networking and connecting during lunch, during events, etc. And you just have to be so much aware of what you've got to do to be able to overcome this challenge. Now, there are two more challenges which are very interesting. Actually, three. The first one, the other one is women are less likely, women aren't tough enough. Who said? But we believe it. So 21% and 24% of women and 14% of men actually do believe that women are not tough enough. So the tech world is associated with tough, difficult, challenging roles, and we tend to believe that. But if there's anybody who is more resilient, in fact, who can actually handle period after period after period after period after period after period, 30 days in, 30 days out, 30 days in, and as if you're not done, when you get to your 40s, you're dealing with premenopausal and menopausal and all sorts of things. Who can be more tough and more resilient and still show up? And who, you see, women also are the ones that also deal with a lot of emotive and emotional issues more than men. So the children will come and cry to you. So we are actually more resilient and more tenacious than we actually think. The final one is that generally women don't make as good managers as men. It's all these as stereotypes, stereotypical thinking, and challenges that have to do with, myths. Now, finally, I'm just going to call out another statistic around. This is not the shocking part of it, and I can actually relate to it. The women rate themselves less confident, both in STEM and non-STEM and in leadership until their mid-40s. Until their mid-40s. And that's why the space for mentorship is so huge and so big, and policy is so important. So whether it is internal policy in the workplace where you have diversity and equity and inclusion ratios that have to be met, but also enabling, support platforms, whether it is having, the sort of work environment and spaces that women can sort of thrive in, etc. And of course, externally, in terms of the opportunities, even at a government level or at a national level or Pan-Africa or, what continent or global, whatever level, the policy that has to be made. And Fiona spoke to that. So the strange thing is that all this while, men have been rating themselves, they continue to rate themselves. As soon as they are born, they are ready for the world. But the interesting thing is they start to drop off in their late 40s. And women, actually now, these are times that women are beginning to thrive. So there are a lot of myths and stereotypes. We have to be aware of the myths and stereotypes. And we also have to be aware of the certain mindsets and thoughts that have been imprinted, somatic markers that have been created in our minds over time, and erase them and help younger people also be aware of them. So yeah, pretty much that's what I would wrap up as the challenges.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for that elaborate answer. I love how you shared the statistics and how you refer to things we can relate with on a day-to-day basis. And if you have some time, I'd like you to drop a few links on resources that women can go to, especially on the mindset issues that we have. And, any articles or links, you can share them on the chat for members to access. My next question goes to Hazel Gachoka. So Nancy has talked about, mentorship, and this is a theme that keeps coming back even from our previous panel. And we are grateful for a forum like this where we can meet and access some of the mentors and hear their stories. I'd like you to talk a little bit about, how do we as young people identify mentors and, create those bonds and synergies that are going to help us navigate the tech industry. Hazel Gachoka.
Okay, hi everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to this. And one of the things I'd like to say about mentoring, it's something that really, really helped me in my own career. We can definitely leverage support from different men. It's a very easy way to do that. You know, like when you get into the workspace, you identify who are the engineers, who's helpful, and who's willing to work with you. Because actually, those people are right there, right in front of our faces. It's just that sometimes we're not looking closely to work with them. So just even if it's another guy who's working in the team, leverage that support, learn from them. In my own example, I can tell you when I first joined Cisco, which was a long time ago in 1999, we would go into different customer sites and I'd be the only Black woman. And all the people sitting in the room, most of them would be Caucasian men, and they'd look at me like, what can she really do? But in the back end, I had a lot of guys that were supporting me, and I really leveraged that. There was one other woman in the team who landed up being a really great support team member as well, who helped me. So definitely, whichever guys you can find in the team, whichever women, men, just whoever's at your closest touch, use them. The other thing is there are people who are also looking to mentor. So you can go out there, you can Google, look at who are the leaders, how well are they doing, do they have enough availability to mentor other people? Because you'll find that there are people out there who they really want to do it, but they don't know who to come back to and mentor. Also, the other thing I'd like to say is that let's use a buddy program. You know, men are very friendly to each other, and they also tend to help each other a lot. So as women, let's leverage that. Let's learn from the males and how they do it. You know, they go out for coffee breaks, they go out golfing together, they go out for lunches. They're very, very connected. And we too can use those kinds of opportunities to find mentors out there who can also assist us. The other thing I'd like to say is don't look down on anyone. There's always something new you can learn from somebody else, okay? The other thing is reverse mentoring. Sometimes we will learn a lot from the people who we've gone to mentor. So take notes from those people, do as they say, and keep going. Yeah, that's what I would say about finding mentors.
Okay, are there any specific initiatives or programs that have proven to be successful in terms of breaking barriers for women?
Yeah, for women. You know, for example, Safaricom runs a very good internship program. When I worked at Cisco, I'd be one of the trainers who would go out there and train the young ladies. And that initiative has helped people come out and learn very many different skills that will help them upskill in the jobs that they're doing. The other thing, if you just look around and even go online, you'll find there's things like Girls Who Can Code. It's a nonprofit organization, and it works closely to close the gap when it comes to technology. It's really good for computer science for young girls. So some of these are based in the US, but even as you're in Kenya, because now with the internet, it's something that you can definitely leverage, right? There's also Tech Women in the US. It's a Department of State initiative. And it brings women from the Middle East, from Africa, from South Asia, and it's a mentorship exchange program, really based in the US, but it helps people around the world, okay? There's another one called Women Who Can Code. We know that even as much as we're engineers, a lot of the world is leaning towards artificial intelligence, coding, running things in software. For myself, I started off as a programmer, but I'm a real hard techie, and I'm finding myself when I go to recertify, I have to learn Python, I have to be able to do things in software. So coding is a major, major thing that's out there that we need to also learn. So definitely to the women out there, even as you look for whatever programs, just go online, look at things like GPT, learn from them. There are very many free programs that you can go out there and learn a lot of different things. Many tech companies also have inclusion programs. They have diversity, and they'll help they want to look at the different gender programs and help women get into a lot of training. Yeah. The other one I also want to mention is the STEM for education. And those are things that if you just Google and look at what technology is out there, you can definitely find programs that you can get involved in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hazel. And I think right now with all the innovations in, within social media platforms, like for example, LinkedIn, there are a lot of groups for, women in tech. I think those can also be part of the resources that we can utilize. Moving forward, we have our next panelist, Yvonne Apio. My question to you is, how do we advocate for change within the work environment, especially as women? If you find yourself in an environment that clearly, everything is set up to be against you, how do you advocate and lobby the rest of the organization towards change in terms of policies or any other initiatives?
Good evening. Thank you for the invite to this panel. It's actually quite an honor to be sitting around so many change makers and movers and to be listening to all of you. Yeah, I also want to shout out to a few of those I know, one of them being Nancy Matima, who went to high school together, and it's great to see you again here, and all the others who I may forget. I'll go on to the question because I don't want to waste too much time. So I'll just get on with it. I'm a Swiss parliamentarian, but before I became a parliamentarian, I'm actually an artist. So being an artist is the core of everything I do. So everything I touch has to do with art. So I usually say I'm a parliamentarian by accident, by default. I didn't choose it. I didn't think I would get into this. Yeah. So I believe a lot in making change or advocacy through art, because that is my language of love. That is my language of social justice. That is the language I breathe and speak. That's what I best know. So when I got into politics, actually, it was through my art, because I did the first ever very short documentary about racism in Switzerland, where I am. And this is a 2.5-minute movie. I didn't think it would win anything, but until now it's won about 22 prizes in different countries, 4 continents, and it's still being shown, so you can find it online. Now, this movie was seen by somebody in my party who went back to the main party, which is the Social Democratic Party, and asked them to contact me because they didn't have, and they still don't have, people of African descent that many. So they asked me to come and join them. They had to convince me before I could join them. Now, one of the ways I advocate for change and for institutes to actually take on changes, when they asked me to approach them, I was interested, but I was intrigued, let me say that, but not interested. Now, to buy myself time also, I knew and I've always believed, I don't believe in being the first and the only. This exoticism, being the token, I don't like this. I don't like this. I usually like, and because I come from Kenya, of course, we believe in, we are a communal society. So we believe in helping each other. So I believe, and I always tell people, be careful when you ask me to work with you, because when I come in, I will keep the door open, put my leg in, and bring the whole village. So the former speakers before me, Nancy, Hazel, have mentioned how most of the men, they have a boys' club, which is very true. You know, we need to build our own club. We need to build our own village, because you can't do this alone. We have a lot of tokenism going on, especially in outside Africa, where they see you, they see that you're good at your job. So they pull you in and they want you to be the champion you can be of whatever cause, but try and make sure you're not the first and the last. So usually I say, I like to work with a lot of people, and I make sure my village, and when I say my village, it will mean people who look like me first. And second, it will mean people with a migrant background. They come in so that you can have those people you can rely on, your own network, people who can help you and also check you, like one of the other speakers said. So I asked the party, I told them, if you want me to join you, one, you need to put me through school, political school, because I come from a country where the political system is very different from yours. I don't understand this. But before you put me through the school as well, you need to make sure other people who look like me have an opportunity to do that school as well. Yeah. So they had to agree to certain terms, which I wanted. So this was already kicking them into thinking in a different way. You know, you need to know your worth as well when you're making such demands. And don't, as a woman, we tend to undersell ourselves. You know, a man will go for an interview where he applied for the job. He knows he has 2 skills out of the 12 they asked for, but he will come there in his big suit, you know, talk big, and he will get the job. The woman will be like, I'm ready to learn this. I don't know this. If you give me the chance. No, ask for the job, ask for what you're worth. In fact, in your head, you should already be, some people they ask for, they're like, okay, I want 50K for my salary. Double it when you're speaking, you know? If they want you, they want you. And a lot of women say, yes, if I speak like that, if I behave like that, I tend to maybe look like a man, act like a man. The men are not worried about looking like a woman, acting like a woman. They get the job because they do what they do and they say what they say, you know? So I tend to work a lot with people who look like me. I like to open up whatever spaces, and I go into a lot of white spaces. I open up the spaces to people like me, and I use my art. Last year, we had the first ever exhibition in Switzerland on Zurich and colonialism. I'm based in Zurich, and I was instrumental in forcing our government, our city, to actually have this exhibition. And it was even the problem to get people, I mean, Zurich and colonialism, when you listen to the title, you would automatically think, yes, Black people will be involved in this exhibition. But no, the city of Zurich wanted to do it without any involvement of Black people. So of course I had to step in. And then finally, through all the negotiations, which we as a Black community were so tired about, the Black community was given a space to do something, and they were tired. So they said, no, we are not going to do it. Luckily, I'm a Black person and an artist, and I don't believe in this reaction that when you fight something for something so hard and you finally get it, to prove your point, then you kind of sulk. You know, I'm not going to do it. So I said, listen, I'm not letting this go, because when we look at the records later on, people will not understand why the Black community was given a space and they decided not to do anything. Because they can also use this against us, the white community, and say, we gave you the space, you did nothing, you know? So I decided, let me use this. And I did a collage. Unfortunately, I was trying to see if I could do this. I'll just try and change my camera for a minute. Bear with me. I did a collage of a Black woman. Yes, I think you can see it. It is now my picture, my profile picture. I did a collage of a Black woman. That is the collage standing in front of me, because Black women were instrumental in helping me in this fight. And when you see on one side of the Black woman is completely Black, on the other side, it's very colorful. Now, on the other side that is very colorful, there are some words on it where I did interviews with all the Black women I knew who live in Zurich, and I asked them to tell me a little bit about their stories. So from their stories, I took out words which, like, there's trauma porn in there, there's hypersexualization of the Black body, there's different things in there. There's racial profiling, which is the police usually stopping Black people, although they have done nothing, just because of how they look, to control them and all of that. And then when you go over these words with your mobile phone, on your mobile phone, because every word there has a QR code embedded in it. So when you go over it with your mobile phone, a small clip of a Black woman, the Black woman who told me a story about, let's say, trauma porn, will come up, and she will narrate her experience about trauma porn, you know? And I had on this body there about 20 little words, and I thought maybe I would get 20 stories to tell. But in the end, I got about 155 stories to tell from Black women. So we had the exhibition, it was supposed to be for 6 months, but it was such a success, it was prolonged. So every 3 months, I would change the stories, you know? So this is also another way I'm just showing that I not only forced the city of Zurich to include Black people in the exhibition, which they did, because after that, we talked to them about having workshops that were connected to the exhibition that were run by Black people, people of African descent. But I also used my art there to try and tell our stories, but also to show them, because usually they have a hard time imagining that if you're Black and you're a woman, you may actually have not only something between your ears, which is a brain, but you may have the intelligence that they also have. So that is also why I usually try to shock them into realizing we're actually more intelligent than you think. You know, and I love boasting about M-Pesa because I'm in a country that thinks, and actually a lot of people come here to learn banking. And I usually laugh at them. I'm like, I don't know why you come here to learn banking. Go to Kenya. We made the first ever, you know, mobile bank. So I don't know what you're doing here. And Switzerland just started mobile banking 2 years ago, by the way, you know, just to tell you, you know. So I was just trying to show them that there's more to us than just the stereotypes which they have of us. The Black men are drug dealers, and the Black men are usually not just drug dealers. They're very violent, and they're prone to domestic abuse. Black women are prostitutes, and they always just seduce their way to everything. And then there's, of course, there's angry Black woman. And then there's also the stereotype of mommy, which is the caretaker Black woman. So she's just there to take care of people. So I'm always trying to not only debunk these stereotypes, but to show them that there's more to us with this. So this is one of the examples I did. But the other thing I would like to also today bring light to is a lot of us Black women, when we get to the top there, we need to be very careful, and it's becoming more and more, it's coming to light more and more. We need to be very careful about the glass cliff phenomenon, which means they stop using us as a token, and they invite us in when they have a problem, a really big problem in the company that a diverse woman can actually get rid of. So a good example is, I don't know if you've all heard the story of the former president of Harvard University. This is a good example of it, yeah? And she was brought in at a time when Harvard was really having problems. And I dare to talk about this because I know the political side of the whole story. She was brought in when Harvard was really having a problem with their institute, and they wanted to show how diverse they were. They wanted to show that that they're all about women and diversity and all of that. And then as a president, you can't really usually say your own mind during interviews. And as a politician as well, you're given a script and you have to stick to the script. So when she was doing the interviews, she was sticking to the script. She was not saying what she personally thinks. And now that they're done with her, and because she didn't comply with a lot of things that they wanted as a white institute, they got rid of her. That means they put you there on the pedestal, and you represent everything they want to do. And because you're up there representing diversity and everything they want to do, it all goes well for your institute. And soon after they're done with you and you refuse to comply by other things because you're saying, hey, listen, I got here for my people, I want to represent my people and all of that, they get rid of you. They throw you off the glass cliff, you know? So we need to really watch out with that and make sure when you join an institute, you join it on your terms, you know, you join it knowing exactly what you're about to demand so that they don't, in the end, make you just their scapegoat for whatever. You need to amplify voices of the people you want, empower your people. And that is how I usually try and use my platforms and what I do to make institutes, more diverse, more inclusive, and more open to us.
Wow. It's amazing, you know, what you've been able to do, and we need more people like yourselves who can really champion the Black voices, especially in the first world countries where there's a lot of discrimination and unconscious biasness. Thank you very much, Yvonne, for sharing that with us. I wish we had more time because, you know, there are probably a lot of, you know, concerns or questions we have around, you know, how to navigate that some more. But hopefully we'll have more sessions like this and we'll definitely have you on board. My next question goes to Naomi Thiru. I'd like you to tell us, you know, how you got into tech as a woman, and also share nuggets of wisdom for the younger women who are on the call and would like to know how to, you know, kick off their career in tech.
Hello, hi, how are you guys doing? And I would like to introduce myself. My name is Naomi Thiru, and I've been fortunate enough to be to start and just take on my career in US since after high school. And based on the question, how did I get into tech and how have I been able to survive in it? I cannot say it's been easy. But one of the first things that I knew even before I came here was just the love of technology, because I was already doing
the old-fashioned black screen DOS programming. So that's how I started. So what I did when I came here, just because of survival, it was really hard for me to navigate the IT world in the beginning. So I stumbled into healthcare. So I jumped onto healthcare and I said, I was like, I still love IT, and I married both. So that has given me the best leverage of combining healthcare and being the technology part in IT. What I did was I did a bachelor's in computer science. That did not take me anywhere because when I was here, there was a lot of layoffs when I finished my degree, and we didn't get any sponsorship as international students. So I jumped onto healthcare. And finally, when I did my master's, I combined both of them. So even when I was just working purely in healthcare without using my IT degree, I still made sure that I volunteered anytime they needed technology person who had clinical background. And the reason why I bring that is I had to give up a lot of my time to prove that the skills that I have in technology are still useful and I still enjoy what I do. My breakthrough came because my counterparts in leadership were like, she loves what she does. She doesn't care whether she's getting paid for it. She does it voluntarily. So when technology positions opened, guess who was able to secure the position? So that's how I was able to combine both of them. So one of the things that I tell people is, if you really, really love technology, you have to find a place where you can utilize your skills so you do not forget your skills, so you don't lose your skills. The other way that you can support your skills is volunteering for the small organizations that don't have enough fund to pay for companies to maintain like things like their websites, their social media platforms, which I do for the local churches here in US. I do that on my own at my own time. I'm not getting a penny, but guess what that does for me? I put that in my portfolio. I keep up with my skills in technology, and that's how I'm able to support and keep pushing on. When it comes to getting, and this has been mentioned by other panelists as well, growing in the IT space, you have to have a mentor. You really, really have to surround yourself with people who are in the field. They've solidified themselves in the field, and just cling on them. The organization that I work for provides free mentorship for us. So you have to take the initiative to go into the portal and find a mentor. Attend the classes, they are free. Just take an hour of your time a week and attend those classes. So that's how I found a mentor, because I could relate her story to my story, being a mother, being in technology, and just trying to balance life outside as a mom and trying to just move forward an inch at a time in technology. So I hope I have answered the question.
Yes. Thank you very much, Naomi, for sharing your journey with us. Moving to the last panelist of today, Monica. I know Shiko talked about a layered approach when it comes to passing on the knowledge to the next generation. Are there any other strategies we can deploy as a people to make sure that the next generation is really empowered and they have the supportive environment that they need to thrive in the tech industry?
Thank you so much for the question, and for all the women that have spoken ahead of me. I've learned so much. In fact, I'm just also identifying mentors in the process. Very powerful speeches and lots of lessons, lots of pointers to pick as women in technology. I joined technology in the year 2018, so I've not really stayed there for a long time. But within that short time, I've managed to really peer buddy with other women, and we've co-founded a company that trains software development teams in terms of working on applications, web portals, and we try and coach them on delivering them very fast to the market. using some different frameworks, Scrum, Kanban. I'm sure those in tech have come across such frameworks. So I'm really delighted to be here and to empower our next generation. One of the things that came in mind is how about we also nurture this girl child right from at a very young age. And for this, right now, when you watch at what our kids are watching on television, sometimes you might find the girl child maybe is just watching cartoons that really is not maybe promoting STEM courses. It's just about how maybe you become pretty and all. So we really need to think of how we empower right from the information they are getting from those cartoons and even the books they are reading. There's a lot of information they get from those programs, so that we try and encourage them to see if they can watch programs that are actually educational and they can kind of shape them towards STEM courses, so that we don't have the challenges we have of less women in STEM or in technology. So for me, that's what I think we can really empower the next generation. For also the young women that have maybe just graduated from high school, we need to give them access to information so that by the time they're making their career choices, they have good information of the different opportunities or the different domains they can take in tech. Because you see, if you're not within technology, sometimes you don't have so much information. So for us who are already present in technology, we should give them access to that information, guide them, mentor them, as the previous speakers have spoken. You know, we really need to help them not to make the mistakes we made, so that they can really learn from and not repeat the same mistakes. And then we also need to advocate for for programs that are promoting the girl child into STEM courses. So Hazel had given us examples of like the women in technology in Safaricom. We also have Akira Chicks, we have Technovation. There's quite a number of programs, but we need to advocate for more so that we can have a greater impact, you know, a big number, and we really reduce those, we really make the statistics better and have a good representation of women in technology. So those will be that will be my contribution in terms of how to empower the next generation. And we really need to keep encouraging. For me, I say encourage, even if it's a daughter to your friend. Share with them whatever information you have. I mean, right now we're in the digital space. We have WhatsApp groups that people have created for maybe quality engineering. We have WhatsApp groups for UI, UX domains. So people don't know this information. So within your community, within your family, encourage those girls, support them, mentor them, give them access to that information, guide them so that they do not, we actually improve the statistics and we have a better representation of women in technology, and not just a representation, but a representation that is girls who are actually competent, they have the skills and capabilities, and we are not just giving them the job because it's a girl or it's a woman. We are giving them because they are qualified, they have the skills, they have the capabilities, they've put in the work and the effort. So that will be my contribution in terms of how we can empower the next generation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Monica. I love your perspective of introducing it, you know, at a very young age. Most of us have kids. We have coding programs for kids and other things that are going on out there. Thank you for that. Nancy, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you so much. There's something I'd like to talk about, which I think is important. You know, we talk a lot about the girl network, the girl child, the women network, coming together as women. But if I look at my personal growth story, I cannot help but say it is important to build allies with the men and penetrating through the boys' club. And I recall when I joined Safaricom, I'd come from the traditional ISP world and then started broadband in the communication world. And I was coming into what we know as modern day telco. I had no clue, no idea, no background whatsoever. And I noticed to a great extent, these conversations in the boardroom were being led by the men. So I actually walked over to Shaka Kwach. Shaka Kwach was the head of network engineering at that point in time. And I told Shaka, I know absolutely nothing. And Shaka laughed so much. And first and foremost, why did you walk into my office? Because I want to know. He opened up a flip chart. Shaka quite spent an entire afternoon, almost up to way after 6 p.m., teaching me how GSM works, what I need to know, what I need to go and find out. And he gave me everything. And I actually created what I used to call a GSM encyclopedia, just to understand the GSM technology world and telco world. Thereafter, I was actually called in, various, Shaka would recommend me into certain projects, and my name would keep coming up because somehow you have to find a way of penetrating through. Because if we work just as girls only, we are still to a great extent the minority. So we have to penetrate through that impermeable sort of, boys club. The other experience was also when I also got now into senior leadership, at CEO level, and I noticed somehow the women would not speak until the men have spoken. We are Hollandese, but out of the 50 countries of multi-choice, the women would never speak unless they're asked to speak at CEO level, And to a great extent, when I look at the women that were heading to CEO level into multi-choice, we possibly came from the outside world, and there was already an inner circle of boys clubs, Soweto boys, as they were called, So I made it a point when I went to South Africa to actually meet Nyuko Shiburi. Nyuko was our CEO in South Africa. You have to do everything possible to permeate through the boys club. Don't work as girls alone. We have to form an ally of both boys and girls and get into their space. And they're shocked at how much you know. Same experience I had with Shaka many years ago was exactly the same. Nyuko spent a whole day. He actually told me, Nancy, come and show you something. He walked me through the entire multi-choice South Africa, walked me into the labs, showed me certain things, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, so this is how it happens. And then he would mention names like so-and-so, this guy, and it was just boys. You have to permeate the boys club somehow. Don't work alone as women only. Get into that space, make yourself seen, learn from them, be part of them. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for that nugget. We all, look forward to striving and asking more questions and, just making sure we are seen, we are heard, and we are, getting our seat at the table. So with that, the second session has come to an end. I hand over the program back to Mark to close or wrap up.
Thank you. Before I do that, Meg, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I know we had Q&A session, but due to time, we won't be able to answer all the questions. But there was one question that I'm going to post this to Nancy. It came from Jerry Mwaura. Can someone elaborate how the imposter syndrome challenge in the workplace can be overcome? Maybe in a nutshell, Nancy.
I actually suffered the imposter syndrome. One, because I grew too fast in leadership. I was actually representing my company at the age of, I think, about 27 when I was at Awe Africa, sometimes in board meetings with the likes of Helios. Helios only has become popular in the recent times, but I would present the likes of Babatunde Soyoye in London, and I was like, am I supposed to be here? Really, do I have that ability? Do I have that capability? Then I suffered exactly the same again when I became MD for the very first time. So when you leave functional leadership and go into executive leadership, you're still thinking in functional leadership space. And I was like, am I really ready? Do I really know what I need to do? And one day I just started and I said, these guys must have known I needed to be here. There's always a first time for everybody. Nobody goes in there straight having done so many. All of us have a first time. So we all possibly suffer the same imposter syndrome. But to deal with it,
to actually, sort of figure out how I could get rid of it, I actually reached out to the CEO of Family Bank, Rebecca, who was also a first-time CEO. I also reached out to Rita Kavashe, who had come from being a very strong functional leader into a CEO. So, and they would share exactly the same thing. So the one thing I have to tell you is that the imposter syndrome is so real. But the first thing you have to always remember, you are there, you've been identified because you have what it takes. You're not there by mistake, not at all. But it does have to have coaches. I always say you need a 3-level support framework to deal with the imposter syndrome. One at heart level. So my husband is my heart level guy who keeps telling me, "Man, Nancy, you're smart." And I'm like, "You're just saying that because you love me." They're like, no, you're smart. You see, people say, "Listen, this person said this." So he'll sort of help me pinpoint areas where someone actually did say, and I can say, "Okay, fine, great, maybe that's true," And then at the second level is what I call the head level. The head level are role models. And what I do sometimes, I will actually look at the profiles of these role models who are ahead of me, whether it is, let's say, female leaders who are leading, or doing certain great things in tech, and look at their profile on LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, she's doing, I'm doing exactly what, So they're possibly called, in psychology, it's what are called mirror neurons, mirror neurons. So you need to find as many mirror neurons around you that are doing exactly what you should be doing, and that, to a great extent, reinforces the confidence that you have got. Then the last one is what I call at the hands level. Hands level are people doing exactly what you're doing today, whether they are men or women, not just women. You're at the same level. So again, reaching out to them, like I did reach out to Yuko Shibori, and again, they reinforce your mirror neurons and give you the level of confidence you need to be able to work and thrive. And then finally, and Shiko and Fiona, and by the way, Mheshimiwa Honorable Yvonne Randall Amolo was actually my classmate in high school for 4 years. So really happy to see you, and I'm happy to hear what all the women are saying. But let me tell you, you cannot wade through that whole bit of seeing yourself as an imposter without professional help. You need a coach. You need an executive coach. And the executive coach has their place. And I always say, when you're finding an executive coach, especially towards leadership, please find one that has a bias for business psychology. He's a psychologist and a bias for business psychology, because they will help you understand and unpack and be able to actually see you're not an imposter after all. You don't have to wait until you're in your mid-40s to know that you're actually great at what you do, because women wait, as we said, until their mid and late 40s. So yeah, that's what I would say. Look for mirror neurons, strengthen those mirror neurons, create the somatic marker psychology. As you move ahead, you will understand how important neuroscience and psychology is in shaping leadership and improving your leadership, but also making you great people, whether you're, the person that stands out in the spaces that you're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. That's very good, well put together. And I think this should be a topic by itself. Kind of, we all come together here and discuss about this, because I think a lot of us, that's what, affect people even doing their current jobs, even to move up to the corporation. So this, I think, Mark, should be maybe a topic whereby, or what we believe and what drives us and what surrounds us can help women to move up the ranks. So Mark, I'm going to turn this to you because we don't have as much time for us to handle any questions, but any questions that are going to be on the chat, we'll answer it and then share on the social media.
Thank you very much, everyone. Margaret, I think you need to mention, because time you're doing introduction, you're not here. You are the Vice President of UPS, Georgia, Atlanta, right?
Well, I moved from UPS. I'm currently not in, I currently am working with the private equities. So I'll do more of like structuring the companies, more of transformation right now. But I'm primarily in finance, but you'd be interested because I was an accountant in Kenya. I moved to US and then I did accounting and then some technical stuff in between. I did a little bit of accounting work, which I decided, you know, I wasn't that thrilled, as a lot of people don't like just numbers and journal entries. So I started getting moved in the tech world. So from there, I moved more towards primarily IT. I've been a developer programmer. I've managed teams that are for IT. So I sit currently between the finance because I understand I have MBA in finance. So I learned that as well. So I manage finance, IT, accounting, what all that circle, I'm aware of it. So that's where I sit right now. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. You know, I have had a chance to look at each of you, especially the speakers, those who have spoken today, what you'll be able to achieve. And we want to say thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing because you're inspiring so many people. I also want to thank you, especially for the panelist or panel discussion team that we had, first one, the second one, for honoring the invitation. Some of you are seeing me for the first time. We've spoken. I think almost majority of you guys, you've never seen my face. But I'm happy that you honored our invitation to attend this forum. And for me, from assessment, it has been very successful. And because we were starting just to introduce you to this, if you want to have more, sessions like this, you guys have the right to do that. If there's any facilitation you guys need us to do, we'll support you. As Kenya US Tech Forum, this is just but one of the many things that we intend to do. Appreciating women, pushing them where we can, so that they can have their own, way of supporting each other. Now, I need one or two or all of you to take responsibility of coaching each one who needs support. I need you to help people in terms of mentorship, especially people like Nancy, who has been in tech for many years. Everyone knew about you. Everyone I talked to, he was my boss, this was my boss, you are boss to the bosses who are now the bosses now. Shiko is a household name. I have had a chance of talking to almost everyone. You guys are doing an amazing job. Please mentor the next generation or some of us, who are here this meeting. Number two, I need you, if possible, you come up with ideologies or ideas on how best you can help the next generation of women in tech or leadership. You can have your session discuss. If you guys have your WhatsApp group, you can discuss and, help other people. Another thing, I know there's so many ladies or women who have qualification, but they don't have nowhere to turn to in terms of jobs. I know you guys have, Monica, you own a company. Almost everyone here has opportunity to employ one or two people. Please create job opportunities. I know if I come to you, Nancy, today, or Meg, or Gladwell, I ask you have two girls who are well qualified. You know why I'm saying this? Because I train people. I own a tech company here in US where we train people who want to get into tech world. And I know because I've had sessions with them, there are so many people. In Kenya, there are so many people who are graduating, they're doing wonderful job. They're innovators, they have great ideas, but they don't have anywhere to turn to. Please, if you have those opportunity, offer them the opportunity. Even if it means I'm going to give them the entry level, just something to motivate them. Because you don't want in the next 20 years that we're having a session, somebody else having this session, there's no people like Junie, there's no people like Fiona, there's no one like you guys. You want people to be in those positions. And if possible, we should have, for me, the highest ranking person in IT or Kenyan descent should be a lady in the next 20 years. Why not? Okay. So the best you can do is to mentor these guys, offer coaching, professional, be there for them, offer job opportunities for them so that they can grow. So please, if you have jobs, please share with the ladies, let them have jobs. And so I told you how we came to this session, this forum. And the next one, we're going to focus maybe probably the end of March. We're going to talk about youth. Youth, there's no problem. Let's talk about youth. Talk about in terms of innovations, entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about how they can be funded. How can we help them? Okay. And so we're inviting you as well as now, please, keep on checking what we're doing the group for information and even social media, because the group is full. We are not able to have everyone, but the LinkedIn page can have as many as possible. Please like that link so that finally our communication will be done in a more formal way. But again, we can also do the same on the LinkedIn page. So like that, share with your friends so we can grow the page and also get communication getting out to everyone. So we are going to talk about youth entrepreneurship, innovation, startup, and how they can be funded in the next 1 or so months. That is end of March. If your question was not answered, somebody has been taking all the notes, all the information, all the charts. They're going to be shared with you. And if the response is needed, that will be done and will be channeled. Your question will be channeled to the right person and response will be given. So you can also share your contact in the chat, probably email address, okay? And so we are going to make sure that if there's a question that was not responded to, or if it wasn't responded in a way, in a more elaborative way, comprehensively, it can be done, and then the information, the answer will be given to you. Because of time, we are out of time by about almost 17 minutes. Allow me to end the session by saying thank you so much. Asanteni sana, mulale vizuri, mwenye anafanya kazi vizuri. Most importantly, I challenge everyone, make this year, 2024, the best year of your life. Think about how you're going to make it. But for me, I'm dedicated. And I want so many people to share with me the vision of making this year the best year of our life. Thank you so much. God bless you. Good night, good day, good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Mr.
everyone.
Oma,
Yes.
sorry, I know you're closing the session, but I really just want to say something before we end the session. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, but I'm not sure who is talking.
Oh, it's Catherine.
Oh,
Catherine
yeah,
Kiru.
Catherine Kiru.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just a suggestion that I got because I've seen with every leader that we've just spoken to, everyone has their unique perspectives based on their experience. Maybe we can host individual sessions for each of the panelists that we had today. This is also in continuation with what I had asked Nancy, whether she can host her own session in her own capacity, but I figured why not you host such sessions with the individual speakers so that we can quote unquote pick their brains as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So another one said, like, whatever you guys want to do, we support each other, right? If there's support you need. So for example, you come up with the idea that, Nancy has a forum or talk about specific thing. We'll be there to support you. You have a group, Women in Tech, just a subgroup under Kenya US Tech Forum. You can discuss whatever you want. And then we can, again, we will create a session like this. And of course, that is so much well taken care of. And I'm saying we don't have the monopoly of the idea. Any idea you have, okay? We just started this thing, and of course, I'm looking, it's growing. When I thought of this thing the first time, it wasn't this way. Today, this forum has made me meet so many people that I never knew I would be able to meet. People who have, you guys talk about 1990 working for Cisco, my friends. 1990, I don't know, even in school, I was about to start school in 1990. And I'm happy today I meet such a person at that time I was working. If you told me there would be a possibility of meeting this person, you guys are inspiration. Thank you so much. And of course, we appreciate you. Any ideas, just bring it on. We'll support it. Any other question? Because look like people don't want to go to sleep, go to bed. Any other question? It's so interesting, and I like it. So when it's interesting like this, it means that people are eager. People are, want to listen. People want to talk. People want to share. Let's do this next time. Thank you. Bye.
Yes, thank you.